Hello and what's up everyone? So in today's video, I will be reviewing my main camera that I use. This is the Fujifilm XT2. Actually, this is the very first time that I will be reviewing the camera that I use or the gear that I use. So I will be reviewing this body here. This is the main camera that I use for my when I do some photography work, especially when I do some street photography or portrait photography or any kinds of photo shoot, or even just a fun shoot or event kind of thing. So yeah, I have been using this camera for 7 months now. So I want to talk about the things that I love and the things that I don't really love about this camera. So first off, I want to talk about the things that I really love about this camera. Okay, so the number one is the body. Aesthetically, I really love this one. It's kind of retro kind of feel, especially if you're going to see it and especially if you're going to touch it, right? As you can see all the dials here, the ISO, the shutter speed, and the aperture and the lens. So it's very beautiful kind of camera, unlike the other camera that I used to have. So those camera are kind of computer kind of camera, but this is a real camera for me at least, right? Because back in the days you can see these kinds of camera, right? And the Fujifilm was able to deliver it again, the feel of a vintage kind of or a retro kind of camera. So if you came from a camera that doesn't have a dedicated dials for the exposure adjustments like the shutter speed, the ISO, and the aperture, you've got to get used to it at first, just like what I did, right? But when the time that I got used to the dials up here, I really love it. And there's no going back to other system. Actually, that is the reason why I choose this one, because in this camera I learned more about photography, especially when I started with photography, right? At first I want to do some kind of a photography just for fun, just maybe when I go to other places, or just for simply just to have selfie with this kind of camera. But the Fujifilm taught me how to be more creative when it comes to photography. That's why I jumped into photography. Fujifilm helped me to love photography even more because its functionality and it's very fun to use. And for me, this camera is one of the most solid camera that you can find now in the market. Now let's go to the number 2 thing that I love about this camera, and that is the choice of lens. So far on this body, I have the 16mm 1.4. In my bag, I have the 35mm f2 and the 56mm f1.2 for portrait. So I will be also reviewing those lenses individually on my future video. So far, I have no complaints with this camera, especially if you're going to attach a specific lens for its specific purpose, right? For landscape, I use this mostly, the 16mm f1.4, because it's very sharp, it's very fast in autofocus. And the 35, I use that mainly for, I think, almost everything, especially when I do event, because I can shoot portraits, I can shoot, yeah, everything. And the 56 mainly for portraiture, right? Because it's one of the best lens for doing portraiture, because it has a very shallow depth of field. And the number 3 things that I love about this camera is the portability. This camera, I can bring this almost anywhere, right? Because it has a very small body, especially if you're going to pair this body with the 35 f2, with the 23 f2, 27 2.8, and so on. So those lenses are very small, paired with this very small body. So if you're doing street photography, you can be very invincible, and you won't feel anyone uncomfortable, especially if you're doing some portrait in street photography, and if you don't want other people to know that you are taking pictures of them, right? The 4th thing that I love about this camera is the free firmware updates. Yeah, so the firmware update brings a significant improvement to its functionality. this camera has a very good functionality already, right? It has a very fast autofocus. But the company, which is the Fujifilm, trying to improve more the performance of this, so they give a very good firmware update with this camera, right? So the three things that I love about the new firmware they just released recently is that the camera has now the ability to adjust the ISO even if you are recording a video, unlike on the previous firmware. So it doesn't have the camera doesn't have the ability to adjust it, so now it really comes in handy. The second thing that I love is the faster autofocus, especially when it comes to face detection. And also one of the most significant improvement is that on the previous firmware, the shutter speed, right? The shutter speed only has the maximum of 30 seconds. But now you can have the maximum of 15 seconds very slow shutter speed. So with that being said, you don't have to buy additional remote in order for you to do some very slow shutter speed, right? So that's a very good improvement. Now I want to go to the last thing that I love about this camera, and that is of course the image quality. The color of this camera and the picture that is being produced is very nostalgic and dramatic. But previously I saw on YouTube that there is a comparison regarding with this camera and the other cameras when it comes to its sharpness, right? And they said that other camera has a sharper image compared to this one. But you know what, for me, okay, this camera is very sharp already. Sharpness is actually not, of course sharpness and the image quality is very important, right? But sometimes the sharpness doesn't really, you don't really need very sharp image in order for you to produce something very nice or something very dramatic kind of photo. Photography is all about telling stories. Photography is all about driving the people to the world or to the time that, and has the ability to drive the viewers to the world or time that the picture is portraying. And you know what, most of the greatest and appealing photos doesn't even have the sharpest image, but it tells story and it tells drama. Yeah, for me that is one of the most that is one of the basis why photography or why pictures is great or why pictures is very appealing to the eyes of the one who is looking at it, right? It's not all about sharpness. Now I want to talk about the things that I don't really like about this camera. Number one is the battery life. So the battery life of this camera, it sucks. Yeah, it really sucks. So that necessitates you to buy another extra batteries. The second thing is the price. A lot of photographer says that this camera is underpriced. So a lot of photographers, especially the pros, said that this camera is underpriced. But for the people who doesn't have enough money like me, this camera is a little bit expensive. Yeah, it's really expensive actually. That's why quality comes with the price. And not to mention the lenses that doesn't come with this body, right? This one is very expensive, the 16mm f1.4 and the other lenses also. So, and I'm a prime shooter actually, so I don't really go to the zoom lenses because for me prime lenses has better quality, especially when it comes to their images, right? So in my own opinion. Okay, now so just to wrap up, this camera is for everybody. Okay, this camera is for everybody who wants to learn photography. This camera is for everybody who wants to get a dramatic kind of photos or nostalgic kind of feel, especially because of the retro look of this one. Yeah, so but you know what, I believe that the best camera is the one that you have right now. So don't let the gas get on the way. Don't let the gas stop you from doing what you love, right? So keep shooting, guys. So if you like my video, please hit like and consider subscribing, right? So bear with me, guys, because to be honest, this is actually the first time I will be reviewing this vlog. So yeah, if you have something to add, just comment down below. So in my next video, I will be reviewing this lens. So this is the 16mm 1.4, right. So see you again, guys. Bye bye.